Let's start with the foundational question.
No, really. Take a moment. What do you truly want?
If you're drawing a blank right now, or the answer just feels fuzzy, that's okay. You're definitely not alone. In fact, you're like most people.
Let's begin. In the next few minutes, we are going to architect a clear path for you, a path from all of that noise to finally knowing.
Our path forward has 4 key parts. First, we're going to look at the drowning signal. Then we'll start excavating your blueprint. After that, we'll build the foundation of why. And finally, we'll get to designing what's next.
So let's start with part 1, the drowning signal. We need to get to the bottom of why it's so hard to know what we really want. What's creating all that static?
From the moment we're born, we are just inundated with messages about who we should be, what we should want. These voices, they come from everywhere: our family, culture, school, our friends, the media. And eventually, they just get so loud, they drown out our own inner signal.
And this isn't just a feeling. The science actually backs this up. Research shows that almost half, 45%, of everything we do each day isn't driven by conscious choice. It's just autopilot, subconscious conditioning.
And here's the real consequence. When we're on that autopilot, the part of our brain that's responsible for critical thinking, for making new, intentional choices, it kind of just goes quiet. This is the source of that feeling of being stuck, that strategic stagnation. We stop questioning the scripts we've been running on for years, and that makes it almost impossible to connect with what we authentically want.
Okay, so that's the problem. How do we start to break free? Well, we begin with a method that might seem a little backwards, but it is incredibly powerful for excavating what's been buried.
The core idea is this. Sometimes the clearest way to figure out what you want is to get crystal clear on what you don't want. It works because when you define what you need to move away from, you automatically create the space for what you truly desire to emerge. So here's a really simple, practical exercise. On one side of a page, I want you to list everything you know you absolutely do not want. Be specific here. A job that drains you, a relationship that feels one-sided, a chaotic home life. Then, for each of those things, ask yourself, what is the exact opposite of that? That opposition, well, that's the beginning of your blueprint. Okay, so now you have the beginnings of a blueprint, but every good structure needs a solid foundation. And for us, that foundation is understanding the why, the deep motivation behind what we want. See, the what gives you a direction, but the why gives you power. It gives you endurance when things get tough. The why is your bedrock. So take one of the desires from your blueprint. Let's use an example. I want financial freedom. Now ask yourself the first question. Why does this matter to me? And maybe your first answer is something like, well, so I don't have to worry about bills anymore. Okay, that's a good start, but don't stop there. Go deeper. Ask again. And why does that matter? Why does not worrying about bills matter? Well, because then I would feel secure. And you just keep asking why after every answer until you hit something that feels solid, something you can't break down any further. That's your core motivation. And what this process always reveals is a powerful truth. We don't actually want things. We want the feeling we believe those things will give us. Security, freedom, peace, connection. That feeling, that desired emotional state, that is the true foundation of your why. So, with a clear blueprint in hand and a solid foundation underneath it, we're ready for the final step. It's time to actually design what comes next. Because a vision, well, it's just a dream until you put it into action. Your new blueprint is powerful, but it's not going to do much for you until you start integrating it into your actual daily life. So let's get practical. Let's think about this on 3 different timelines. First, zoom in really close. What are 3 to 5 high-priority things you can do in the next 30 to 60 days? Things you can start right now. Then, zoom out to 1 year. What are 1 or 2 big-picture goals you want to make real progress on? And finally, zoom all the way in, to the daily level. What's a small reminder you can set up to keep this new direction top of mind every single day? And here are 3 keys to making that happen. Number 1, get practical. Focus only on what is actually within your control to change. Number 2, identify the roadblocks ahead of time. You know what they are, what situations or even people are going to trigger your old patterns. Have a plan. And number 3, create a daily reminder.
This doesn't have to be complicated. Maybe you just read your why every morning. The point is to do something small to reinforce these new beliefs.
So there you have it. A framework. A path from the noise to a place of knowing. You are the architect of yourself. The only question left is, what will you build next?
And now, just a moment to let all of that settle. Go ahead, take a breath.